Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we sift through articles, research, and, well, our own notes, really, to unearth the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight for you. Today, we're plunging into a collection of Chinese fiction that its most iconic leader, Chairman Mao, would likely find, well, profoundly unamusing.
Yeah, unamusing is probably putting it mildly.
We're talking about stories that kind of, by focusing purely on art, become this subtle yet powerful challenge to any official narrative.
And that's really our core mission today, to try and uncover the surprising insights these works offer about Chinese society and, human nature itself.
Right.
We want to understand how literature, when it truly serves art rather than politics, can become this really profound force of observation and critique. It's a journey through a side of China often overlooked.
And what's so interesting right from the introduction to our source material is how Mao's likely reactions are framed. You might expect him to worry about, say, direct anti-party statements.
Yeah, the obvious stuff.
But as it turns out, those were apparently less concerning. The thinking goes he could even exploit scar literature, works reflecting on the traumas of the Cultural Revolution.
Right, or introspective writing.
Exactly. If he could just provide the definitive answers himself, even the misty poets, that generation known for their ambiguous sort of symbolic verse, he'd supposedly just dismiss them with one of his famed waves of the hand.
Smugly assuming, who reads poetry anyway?
Yeah.
Right, like it's irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly.
But the truly profound insight, according to our sources, is that Mao believed the only truly dangerous writing in a totalitarian society is that which ignores politics altogether. Literature that serves art, not society. He wouldn't have cared so much about anti-party diatribes or even, lurid sex and gratuitous violence in these stories. Those could be easily exploited or dismissed.
So controllable in a way.
Pretty much. But a crucial shift happened after June 1989. That apparently led to a deep loss of faith in this supremely individualistic desire to get rich quick.
Right.
So writers started focusing not just on mocking the government, but on a deeper commitment to artistry, playfulness, angst-ridden introspection, and these layered possibilities.
Those are the elements.
Those are the very elements that would have most troubled him, the things that even the chairman's confidence would have been shaken by.
Okay, so diving into this notion of art for art's sake that was supposedly so troubling, where do we first see these unfiltered glimpses into social decay? What story really jumps out for its raw portrayal of human relationships?
Well, a perfect starting point has to be Su Tun's The Brothers Xu. It really cuts to the bone. It offers an incredibly bitter look at character weaknesses within Chinese family life, and it goes far beyond anything political.
How so? What happens?
Well, imagine a father using his younger son's bedroom for an affair while the son is tied up, gagged, and blindfolded in there.
Wow, okay.
And then that son, Xu Neng, later enacts this brutal gasoline-fueled revenge on his older brother. It's just a visceral exploration of human cruelty dysfunction.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly raw. And the story doesn't shy away from depicting the social cost either, right? I remember reading about Hanli.
Exactly. Hanli, a young woman, is publicly shamed as trash and a little worn-out Xu after being sexually assaulted for, dried plums. Just devastating.
It's such a powerful, unvarnished look at desire, cruelty, the dark undercurrents of family life, and it completely sidesteps political ideology to focus on these universal, often really ugly human experiences.
Precisely. And these intense, often ugly human experiences become so profoundly challenging because they exist purely for art, without any explicit political framing. They just are. From there, we can move to Li Rui's Sham Marriage, which lays bare the dehumanizing impact of extreme poverty and patriarchal control. It centers on a purely transactional sham marriage arranged for survival.
Oh, that one really gets under your skin. The old man, Wen Hai, he's consumed by the suspicion that the team leader boiled her noodles, meaning
he had sex with his new wife first. Yeah, it's incredibly stark.
And he gets this chilling advice from the village elders, even his own mother, basically telling him to beat her into submission. Trees need to be pounded.
If they are to grow straight, women are the same. Horrifying. And it culminates in that brutal scene where Wen Hai beats his wife, shouting, "You think I'm screwing you? No, I'm screwing that 2,000 yuan."
It just reduces everything, everyone, to money, a desperate reflection of financial desperation, turning people into commodities.
This narrative just starkly exposes a reality that's so far removed from any kind of utopian vision. And, Kyo Naikin's When Clang Cave Dwellers further illustrates this gritty realism and social control in rural China.
Right, those vignettes, like the public whipping of Du Gua.
Yeah, by her own father, Du Bao. And not just for, not doing women's work, like work in the fields and not cooking, but even for keeping books on the kang, that heated brickbed they have.
So, punished for not conforming to gender roles and for the simple act of reading or keeping records?
Exactly. These vignettes collectively paint such a raw picture of rural life, where human dignity is often just sacrificed for survival, and individuals are subjected to these harsh community norms, often violent ones, without any pretense of larger political ideals. It's a powerful, really unsettling realism.
Okay, so we've looked at these raw, often domestic realities. Let's shift focus a bit. How do these writers tackle the absurdity of bureaucracy, the manipulation of truth, using satire and irony?
Yeah, and this kind of playfulness and social critique, you can see how that would have deeply troubled Mao, precisely because it's so hard to pin down or control. Wang Meng's A String of Choices is a perfect example. It captures this with the professor's almost Kafkaesque quest to cure his toothache.
Oh, right. The professor's journey for a toothache cure takes some truly wild turns, doesn't it? He starts off with this almost naive faith in Western medicine, waiting in those impossibly long lines.
For clinics praised for exemplary performance, no less.
And then he tries Chinese medicine, which offers these farcical solutions like powdered rhino horn, deer antler, and mountain goat's horn that, act as laxatives and take a month to work?
Pretty much useless for a toothache. But the most bizarre treatment has to be from the president of the Toothology Society himself.
Oh, yeah, the back scraping.
Old women scraping his back with copper thimbles steeped in vinegar, leaving blood-red trails. It's insane.
The story just masterfully satirizes bureaucratic inefficiency and the individual's desperate navigation through a system that often feels completely irrational.
It's a brilliant critique, really, of how the blind pursuit of science or philosophy can become totally detached from practical human needs and connection. Then you've got Li Xiao's Grass on the Rooftop, which is a sharp commentary on how heroism gets constructed and deconstructed.
Right. It starts with a village fire, but the narrative is subtly framed from the get-go as ignited by being cooked up over a fire, already hinting that the story might be, cooked up.
Exactly. And the manipulation for propaganda is just front and center. There's this newspaper report that exaggerates Crabman's bravery, reporting a millstone-sized hole in the floor when it was actually tiny, like teacup-sized.
And the students come up with that ingenious scheme, fabricating a heroic act involving a non-existent portrait of Chairman Mao just to give the reporter the punch he wants.
It's such a sharp commentary on how heroism and truth are manufactured, in a politically charged environment. It really reveals the cynical pragmatism needed just to survive in that kind of system where narrative often trumps reality.
Yeah, you just do what you have to do.
Pretty much. And finally, in this vein, there's Wang Shangfu's Fritter Hollow Chronicles. This brings us grotesque realism in rural life, often with a darkly humorous edge.
I remember the names, the unique food-themed naming conventions like Weedy Loo, Broad Bean, and Gobble cereals. It lends this distinct local flavor.
It does. But the humor often turns dark very quickly, highlighting the strange realities of the community. We learn about the historical Tadar Cemetery, where supposedly during the Yuan Dynasty, people hid weapons in dough figurines, which led to a mass slaughter.
A sudden glimpse of historical violence.
Exactly. And then there's that truly shocking detail about Weedy Loo's daughter, Maple Leaf, having a glass eye because her drunken father mistook her removed prosthetic eye in a glass for a drink.
Oh my God. That's horrifying.
It is. These chronicles present this raw, often grotesque yet somehow humorous depiction of rural life, where violence, superstition, and just bizarre events are all intertwined with daily survival.
So these stories, taken together, they really challenge any kind of sanitized view of communal living.
Absolutely. And their artistic choices, just rooted in this unvarnished portrayal of society, you can absolutely see how that would have disturbed Mao.
Okay, so let's pivot again. Let's explore the intimate landscape of trauma and healing, delving into psychological depths.
Right. And these works, full of what the source calls angst-ridden introspection, would be particularly unsettling to an ideology that really prioritizes the collective experience over the individual inner world.
It raises that important question. How does personal suffering actually get processed when public narratives demand conformity, demand a certain kind of story?
Chen Ran's Sunshine Between the Lips feels like a symbolic journey of release. We meet the narrator's childhood friend, Dair.
And learn about her deeply disturbing memory of repeated injections when she was just 7.5, learning that everyone had his own needle to face.
Yeah, and there's also that unaddressed trauma of an architect friend exposing himself to her as a child. Heavy stuff.
And this personal trauma, it stands in such stark contrast to the external world, doesn't it? Her adult marriage certificate states, wed of their own free will.
Investigation confirms that their marriage conforms to the marriage laws of the state. Such a dry, bureaucratic phrase. It just highlights the profound gap between official declarations and lived, felt experience.
But the story culminates in that extraordinary, almost spiritual scene, right? Dyer's wisdom tooth extraction by her dentist husband, Kong Sen.
Yes, it's framed as this moment of profound psychological release and healing. Described as sunshine enters her mouth, penetrates her jaw, permeates her tongue, it dances trippingly, and sings gracefully in her mouth.
That imagery is so striking. Sunshine entering her mouth, transforming a clinical procedure into this almost ecstatic act of healing. It makes the story a really profound exploration of how past trauma can be symbolically processed, maybe released, allowing one to reclaim the self.
It's beautifully written. Then Chen Kun's Footsteps on the Roof captures a different kind of feeling, urban solitude, and this strange, almost repelling intimacy.
The setting itself is eerie. The narrator's apartment in Huangpu East, Shanghai, a building that was apparently once a cemetery.
With unsettling paintings by gods or ghosts on the tunnel walls, adds to the atmosphere.
And what's striking is that persistent mystery of the footsteps on the roof, right? It's so central to the narrator that he feels lost if I don't hear them.
It really reflects this unique, internal psychological experience of modern life, of urban alienation. And then he has that peculiar encounter with the woman from apartment 602.
He describes her as beautiful, yet rather than tempting, she repelled. I was tempted by the repulsion. What a line.
It really speaks to that profound sense of urban alienation, the search for meaning in anonymous settings, and an exploration of intimacy that's both desired and, well, repelled. Very internal.
And finally, for this section, Duo's The Day I Got to Xi'an. That one evokes the melancholic reality of fading connections, yeah.
Definitely. The narrator's visit to his old friend Xiao Tong in Xin becomes this journey of, frankly, disillusionment.
There's that sharp contrast between their intellectual past discussing abstruse books, Xiao Tong supposedly speaking French in her sleep,
and their mundane, frustrating present. Xiao Tong has got fat, ugly, talks endlessly about herself, and the narrator is just desperately looking for a way to escape her company.
It's awkward and sad.
It really explores how we reconcile our cherished memories of people with their present realities. In that poignant final image, the narrator getting off the bus, just leaving Xiao Tong to continue on her way, and later wondering if he really had seen her, it beautifully symbolizes the fading nature of their connection, the bittersweet recognition of lost shared pasts.
It's a very human experience, isn't it? Disillusionment and personal connections, so far removed from grand political narratives.
Exactly. Okay, this last set of stories really dives deep, confronting historical violence directly, the abuse of power, and that complex struggle to preserve identity and memory in really challenging political climates.
These works seem to embody the layered possibilities of art to speak uncomfortable truths. Ge Fei's Remembering Mr. Wu Yu sounds like a particularly brutal, unflinching narrative.
It is. There's a chilling quote right near the start from young old K after witnessing an execution. Killing a man is a lot easier than killing a chicken. Just sets the tone.
And the story details the unjust execution of Mr. Wu Yu, right? A lover of books.
Whose books were burned by the village headman. His supposed healing arts were based entirely on his incredible memory of those incinerated texts. And in this horrific detail, his tongue was cut out a month before his execution.
So he couldn't even speak or plead his case, just left gesturing frantically.
Exactly. And the power dynamics are so stark. You have the village headman, described as a mighty lion with a robust muscular body and a broad, menacing forehead, versus the clean, bookish Mr. Wu Yu, who villagers sometimes described as being just like a woman.
Wow. And wasn't there a witness? A bound-foot woman?
Yes, a crucial witness. She saw the headman rape Apricot, Mr. Wu Yu's protege, which caused Apricot's death. The trauma initially drove the witness to dementia, but she eventually found the courage to reveal the truth right there at the execution ground.
It's just a brutal narrative of political repression, arbitrary violence, the suppression of knowledge, and the depths of human desperation, too, like that detail about stealing gallbladders from the executed bodies.
Yeah, as a folk remedy. It highlights the superstition and desperate measures taken amidst such injustice. It's a profound testament to memory and resilience against overwhelming power.
Then, moving slightly differently, Kong Jusheng's The Sleeping Lion illustrates the resilience of culture and history through these quiet, often risky acts of preservation.
Yeah, against powerful ideological currents. It introduces a group of educated youths working out in the wilderness, which immediately signals that Cultural Revolution context or similar periods.
And they make this dramatic discovery: outside laborers accidentally blast open an underground tomb.
Revealing an ancient brass lion, described as an emblem of royalty and imperial power.
Which presents a huge dilemma, right? How do you handle such a priceless treasure in a political climate where historical relics, especially symbols of imperial power, could be extremely problematic?
Their solution is just ingenious and subtly defiant. They hide the brass lion in a secret attic they build within the meeting hall's roof truss.
So this emblem of royalty gets to secretly reign over all, while down below all the violent criticism and revolutionary struggles are unfolding.
Exactly. It really speaks to the enduring value of heritage, even when official narratives are trying to completely redefine it. It's a powerful, quiet act of preservation that would have been totally anathema to a regime focused on reshaping history.
And finally, just briefly, we come to Shi Tiesheng's First Person. This one provides a powerful, real-world anchor, doesn't it?
It really does. The poignant detail from the author's description simply tells us that Shi Tiesheng was crippled during the Cultural Revolution.
And that's not just a biographical note.
No, not at all. It's a powerful, real-world connection to the underlying trauma and the very real human cost of the political events that often serve as a backdrop or an implicit critique within so many of these fictional works. It reminds us of the profound personal impact of history, grounding all the abstract ideas in stark reality.
Wow, what an incredible journey we've taken, really, through these diverse, rich, and often quite unsettling stories.
Definitely unsettling at times.
We've seen literature that unflinchingly portrays dysfunctional families, that satirizes bureaucratic absurdity, delves into deep psychological trauma, and confronts historical violence, and also that quiet defiance of preserving cultural heritage.
And these stories, with their raw portrayals of human nature, their deep introspection, their, playfulness sometimes, and their layered possibilities, they perfectly fit that description of the truly dangerous writing that supposedly ignores politics altogether, literature that serves art, not society. They're precisely the kinds of stories that, according to the analysis, would have most troubled Chairman Mao. Exactly because they resist easy political categorization and instead just illuminate the messy, complicated truths of the human condition.
And that ultimately is the enduring power of story, isn't it?
I think so. This collection really showcases literature's profound ability to transcend political agendas, maybe offer unexpected catharsis, and provide this lasting, complex mirror to society.
So maybe a final thought for our listeners.
Yeah, perhaps something to mull over.
Yeah.
As you reflect on these deep dives into human experience and societal realities from this specific context, maybe think about what stories in your own world today, whether in fiction, film, maybe even just everyday conversations, might be quietly challenging the dominant narratives, and proving perhaps to be the most unamusing to those who prefer a simpler, more controlled story.